Heard a lot of people say he's 22, but bitch, I'm 24 and I knew better at like 15. So stop making excuses for people who do shitty things and make millions of dollars for it. Hey friends, long time no see. Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp, so definitely stick around till the end of the video because it's a really cool service and happens to be relevant to what we're talking about today. Go figure. It's almost like I planned it. We're gonna be talking about mental health today, and funnily enough, the reason I was gone for so long is because I was taking a little mental health break, so I'm just like super on brand. So by now, because I'm super late to talk about this, you probably know about a certain YouTube star who posted some pretty up shit on his channel. I don't want to give this YouTuber any more recognition because unfortunately he's already gained a ton of subscribers from this. This is actually one of his best months ever, which is upsetting. So we're just gonna call him Schmogan Schmal. We know who I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm not using his name, because you know who I'm talking about. Essentially, Schmogan Schmal was traveling and vlogging in Japan, and he visited a forest that is commonly known as a place where people commit suicide. While he was there, Schmogan and his friends happened upon a recently dead body, and instead of calling the authorities or taking it seriously, they decided to film it and post it to his millions of young subscribers. Made a lot of jokes about it while it was happening. It was really up. I know when people are uncomfortable or don't know how to handle something, they'll sometimes make jokes as a coping mechanism, but there's definitely a conversation to be had about YouTube stars kind of recklessly influencing younger audiences, but I'm sure there's already been a million videos made on that subject, so we're not gonna talk about that. There's been a lot of really great mental health discussions surrounding this in a general sense, but I haven't seen a lot of people talking about mental health stigma specifically in Asian communities. I'm Japanese American, so I'm going to be speaking from an American perspective, but I'm going to link to a couple of Japanese YouTubers who also made videos about this from a Japanese perspective. A little bit of backstory: mental illness definitely runs rampant in my family, and thankfully they've been pretty supportive about it. I've never really felt stigmatized or shamed by my family for seeking out treatment for depression and anxiety. However, after reading a lot of responses from other Asian American folks who reached out to me with their stories, I realized that my experience isn't necessarily the norm. Here's a little bit of background on mental illness in Asian American communities, and if you're interested, all of my sources are going to be linked below. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for Asian Americans aged 15 to 34. However, relative to other US populations, Asian Americans are 3 times less likely to seek out mental health services. I've been doing some research on this, and there are actually a lot of reasons why this is unfortunately the reality, and I think it's important that we talk about it. The most commonly cited reason for this is language barriers and lack of culturally competent mental health care. As you might know, a large portion of the Asian American community are made up of immigrants. I can relate to this because my dad is a first-generation Japanese-Brazilian immigrant. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of research or information about Asian Americans or Pacific Islanders with limited English in regards to mental illness. That's definitely part of the reason why there are limited culturally competent resources for Asian Americans, and not just Asian Americans, but other ethnic communities as well. Another big reason for this is that mental illness is still considered taboo in a lot of Asian cultures. According to studies, Asian Americans and Asian American women in particular don't seek out mental health resources because most therapists and psychiatrists don't understand the complex ways in which their mental illness and their family and their culture intersect. According to a study called Breaking the Silence, a study of depression among Asian American women, feeling responsible yet unable to meet biased and unrealistic standards set by families and society contribute to low self-esteem among Asian American women. Asian American women witness depression in their families but have learned from their Asian cultures to maintain silence on the subject. Asian American women fear stigma for themselves, but more so for their families. This makes sense to me because a lot of Asian cultures are collectivist, so if you consider mental illness a weakness, then it doesn't just reflect poorly on you, it reflects poorly on your whole family. Because of this, Asian Americans statistically tend to dismiss, deny, or neglect their symptoms and don't seek out treatment. However, it's not necessarily a refusal of treatment, more so a lack of awareness of mental health resources that exist. Part of the reason for this is language barriers, which I mentioned earlier, but also there's not a lot of outreach from mental health providers to our communities specifically. For a lot of Asian Americans, they tend to stay within their own communities and they don't know about resources outside of that. So this is the part of the video where I talk about BetterHelp as an important mental health resource. I've worked with BetterHelp in the past, and I think they do really great work, and I appreciate their services a lot. What I like about BetterHelp is, one, it's super affordable compared to your standard therapy options. For a lot of therapists, it's not uncommon for a single visit to cost between $100 and $200, and BetterHelp can be as low as $35 a week, which is more accessible to a lot of people. The second thing I really like about BetterHelp is that you can communicate with a counselor or a therapist via message, live chat, phone call, or video message. If you're like me, then phone calls can sometimes give you anxiety, so it's nice to have a variety of options. It's super simple to sign up. All you have to do is answer a short questionnaire. There are questions like, what is your gender? And they give the option for non-binary, which is really cool. They even ask about sexual orientation, because if you're LGBT, then you know that finding a LGBTQ-friendly therapist is not the easiest task, and that's it. And then you'll be matched with the therapist in under 24 hours. So if you're someone who has struggled with mental illness and you haven't been able to access therapy, then definitely check out the link below and sign up. Here's a list of the incredible people who support me on Patreon and make my work possible. If you would also like to help support me and have your name mentioned in a future video, my Patreon will be linked below, and it's got a lot of cool perks, so definitely check it out. Also, click the notification bell to make sure you never miss one of my videos.